Okay, we are live. It says, let's see, we're in focus and ready to go. Okay, hopefully, this time of the day, there'll be more people joining me on this live stream Q&A. As you know, I do Q&A unannounced. Well, I do live stream unannounced. So hopefully, this is a better time. We'll see how it goes. Hi everyone, Vacha here from Recording Studio 9, and if you just joined in with me for live Q&A session, and welcome. And I hope, I guess, we'll have some conversation about audio, music, and anything else in between. I'll be here for about an hour or so. It is about 4 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon here in Sydney, Australia. So I guess in the rest of the world will be something different. Let me open up my screen. So actually, hang on. There we go. So I can actually read your chats and respond to them as well on my laptop, because I'm using my smartphone to um, do a live stream. So the text on it is so small, even with my glasses I can't see. So we have Michael Johnson. Welcome, Michael Johnson. He says 12:06 a.m. here. Where is here? Must be out, maybe US somewhere. Yeah, maybe east coast of US or thereabouts. Well, let us know where about you're from. Nashville, yeah, USA. Well, thanks for joining in. And I hope this will be entertaining as well as informative live session for everyone. As you guys all know, I haven't been making many videos up because I have been busy with a lot of projects, my daytime job as well as my the projects. And I just sort of finished that. So hopefully very soon I will have more time to make more videos, because I do have quite a few topics that I would actually like to cover. And also, if you're around, let me know how the video and the audio is coming up on your live stream. Hopefully it's nice and clear. Also, there has been some changes in my studio as well, which I might be able to show you around. I might turn the camera around. It is a big mess in here because I am moving things around, but for the better, of course. And yeah, so I've got quite a busy time. But this live stream, as it says, a Q&A, so hopefully we'll have some questions about audio and music and what's been happening. And of course, Michael Johnson says, video is clear, audio is a little bass heavy on my monitors. Well, I've got not much control on it. I think it's just the microphone that the my smartphone, which is Galaxy S9, it's picking up. I try to speak a little bit higher pitch, maybe that will get rid of some of the bass. Anyway, as long as you can understand me, that is all fine. Yeah, there's quite a few new things happening in the audio world as well. One of the most exciting thing is the if you are a PreSonus fan and if you use PreSonus equipment and the audio interfaces and gear, that's really good news, because they've just released an update for their Studio Live Series 3, which will do quite a bit, and a few updates in their software as well, firmware and software in there. Yeah, so which is really good news. Yeah, let me see. I hope everybody was quite happy with the I think 6-part series of videos that I've done on the Behringer's UFX 1604. I think I've done all of what that pretty much covers everything technical that anybody would not be able to understand um, uh, on it. Hopefully, they were clear enough. Um, the well, whether it's sad or good news, time will tell. Because I had this unit for about 12 months now. I purchased it last January, so just over 12 months, and I've been very, very happy with it. As you could tell from the videos that I've done on it, it's very versatile, a very really useful um, mixer and audio interface. But I think it'll be here for another week, and it will go into sort of storage on shelving back in its box, and it'll be then utilized and used for live performances and live recording. Because as you know, it's got a really great, fantastic audio routing options, as well as recording, onboard recording on a USB hard drive on it. So this will end up being my live mixer and recording. And it will be replaced with the new one that I just purchased from Persona. Well, new, I purchased the PreSonus Studio Live 16 Series 3 just a couple of days ago, and it should arrive sometime next week. Tuesday, Wednesday next week it should be here. And once I'm actually ready to finalize the last project that I have with this unit, so this will come out in Studio Live 16 channel Series 3 will come in here. And of course, it was just in time that the PreSonus decided to upgrade the firmware and added a whole heap of new functions in that mixer. And one of the reasons that I actually wanted to move to the PreSonus one, because everything else I have is PreSonus here, is that now it will combine my audio interface as well as mixer and fader control into one. Because at the moment I use this mixer to do my recording, and my mixing is usually done with my my PreSonus 1824, which again is a recent purchase, and I use this fader port. And if I've got a big mix with mixing job that I need to do, anywhere between 30-40 sort of tracks, then I use my MAKE control fader, MAKE control fader control, which is just over there, which we'll see later on in that mess back there. Yeah, so that is a really great and exciting thing for me. As you all know, anything and everything in Australia gear-wise that is coming from overseas is super expensive. It cost me arm and a leg to actually get that one, but I had to save for it. So I got to work for it to pay for the next couple of jobs to actually pay for it. Let's get on to some of the messages that we've got here. Michael says, glad I noticed this stream. I was online looking for a replacement for my Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40. Says, I want to find a good USB interface that I could route the optical to from the old Focusrite. Maybe you have some advice. I never done that before. Yeah, sure. Just let me grab that phone. The phone never stops, does it? I am busy. Oh, my apologies. Yes, and yeah, it all depends whether you want a mixer based or whether you want audio interface. Of course, Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40, I had one, which is a Firewire interface. That means Firewire is on its way out, unfortunately, even though for audio purposes, I prefer Firewire than USB. And only reason because Firewire is a dedicated serial communication where USB is shared. So it's time sharing for the USB. If you've got multiple USB devices, they have to time share, where FireWire is more bigger bulk of data passing through. But yeah, unfortunately, it is on its way out. I mean, the next comparable one would be, and really great one, is PreSonus Studio 192. I know it's probably a little bit more expensive than the Sapphire Pro 40, but it gives you built-in DSP. That means you've got the FET channel, which includes compressor, EQ, gate, and then you've got a couple of effects which are reverb and delay that you can have. That's on each of the channels. So that's really fantastic thing, and that's built in the actual audio interface. And there are a couple of reviews. You can search for a really great review by Mike from Creative Source, one of the YouTube channels. He's done a 3-series video on it, and there's probably a few other ones online. Try that one. On a cheaper scale for audio interfaces, a USB one, I use the Studio 1824. Again, it's 18 and out, and you do have ADAT and the MIDI functionality on there as well, which is one extra bonus. The 5-pin DIN MIDI. It doesn't have the DSP built in, but latency is quite low, so that you can actually use DSPs within your DAW. The latency that I get here, even down to 64 samples at 48 kilohertz, less than 10 milliseconds. You can't tell the difference. I guess it all depends on what effects you want to use, but the simple reverb and delay effects that you want on your channel, especially for vocals, you could hardly tell for the latency. So that's another option, the Studio 1824. And there's and even cheaper ones will be from the Behringer ones, the UMC 404, which is 4 in, 4 out, or 1820, which is, again, I think 16 input, 10 output, or thereabouts. So there's plenty out there to upgrade from a FireWire into a USB audio interface. Yeah, I hope that answers some of that question. We have George Rodriguez. Hello. And he says, hi, my question is, exists a difference between an analog mixer and a digital mixer sound? A big salute from Mexico City. Well, hello, Mexico. There is a difference, because an analog mixer, like this one as well, is analog all the way until it goes into just before the USB being sent to the PC. So all your EQs, compressors, and everything else that you put in there, it's all analog. All the faders, all of that is analog controlled. And the conversion to digital is until the end, just before the USB. Where in digital, the signal is already converted to digital right after the gain knob. So that means anything else that you put in, like EQs, compressors, the faders, the volumes, and the mix buses, and all of that, all the buses inside, is all in digital. So not analog. That is the difference. So you gotta weigh the difference between whether you want an analog feel like this one. It's fully analog until the conversion, because for this one, the conversion happens right after the gain, and you can still have analog EQ before converting to digital and sent to the PC. Same with everything else. But for digital ones, they are converted to digital, and all EQ, effect, compressions, all of that for each channel is in digital state already. And then it goes out to the USB. That is the difference. I hope that explains that. As far as sound difference between the two, well, it all depends from manufacturer to manufacturer, how good the input chip is, the op amps are, and also the converter chips. So basically that's the difference. But these days, most of the new mixers going digital. But again, digital is twice as, if not 3 times more expensive than the analog mixers as well. But they have a lot more functionality. And we have B Caveman Service says hi, hello. And then we have Michael Johnson says, how do the newer preamps compare in these interfaces? I replaced an older Presonus in 2012 or so, the Focusrite, and had much better sound. Yeah, it all depends on the preamps. I mean, the newer interfaces will most likely have a better preamps. Again, it's the quality of them depends on what chips and op amps they use. Obviously, the more you pay, the better op amps you're going to get. That will include noise as well as any coloration and dynamics. So the cheaper interfaces will have less dynamics, maybe a little bit more noise, and they will have some coloration. And usually, from my experience, I have found them to be a bit more metallic sound. I don't know how to describe it, but they're not sort of really a bit brighter, right? Where the higher, more expensive interfaces, let's say even the Presonus 1824, doesn't have that bright, shrill, metallic sound. It's flat, and its dynamic range is quite high for its input. So you can capture a more dynamic sound. They do sound fuller, and of course the noise level is lower in that case as well. So you don't have that much preamp noise. So that'll be the difference. You just get what you pay for. So you find somewhere in between, and then you should be fine. It all depends how many microphones you are recording. So if you're using a lot of VST instruments in your music production, and you only use a microphone for the guitar, maybe acoustic guitar or electric guitar, and if you are a couple of vocals, adding them all up together, it's not going to add too much noise into your music production. But if you are recording an acoustic drum, you've got 8 microphones, and then you've got a couple acoustic guitars, you're miking everything else, then it will add more noise into the final production. So that's what you're really going to think of. So there's no point of going and spending $2,000 on a high-end audio interface if you're ever going to use 1 or 2 microphones at one time. Sure, of course, it's going to be better, but the noise level and everything else is not going to be any better than the $200 audio interface that will still give you enough and good quality audio. So don't waste your money on buying high-end gear unless you know what you're going to record, what the plan is. I hope that explains that one. And we have Your Home Recording Studio says, good day, Vache. Hey, good day. Good day, mate. How you doing? I think I just saw your review on the Adam A7 speakers. I got to watch that one after this live stream. Don't tell me about them because I want to watch them and find out if they're any good. But regardless, I love my Presonus because Eris E8s, because my ears are quite used to it. I know exactly what they sound. So when I'm mixing, I know how to mix. So, but it's good to know the difference and your opinion as well. So Thanks for that. And Kevin Wayne says, hey, Bache, what do you know about PreSonus Artist? How does it compare to other versions? Well, there is a comparison chart on PreSonus website. Just click on there, compare versions. It will tell you what the versions are. The Prime and Artist version, as standard, when you get them, Prime is free, and you get the Artist free whenever you buy a PreSonus gear. Even when you actually buy a second-hand one, if they haven't registered and you register it, you actually get the Artist version for free. And to confirm that, I actually have I purchased the i2. It was a faulty one. One of the channels actually doesn't work. Well, it works, and the level is really low, so you can only use one channel to record it. And I think I bought it for like $50 delivered. So the outputs are still good, so I can still use it to listen to music or play games, you know, when you're gaming and you've got the thing. And then I got Artist for free. So that's one advantage. But the only thing that these Prime and Artist miss is VST plugins, third-party VSTs. You cannot have them. Of course, the Artist has got the Pro channels already. The only time you would need a VST is for instruments. If you want to add, you know, third-party instruments, then you got to pay for it. So that's the only thing that's missing in Artist. But obviously, when you got the Pro, then you've got everything all included, plus more. I use the Pro version. I mean, I've been using since version 1.8, and I've been upgrading since. And yeah, I mean, Artist, even without the VST, is still really well worth the money, especially when you get it for free when you buy PreSonus gear. So if you didn't know about that, definitely check it out. Just check on eBay. Anybody selling Studio One interfaces, even the old ones, for, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks. Just pay for it, even if it doesn't work. If it works, that's all right. If it doesn't work, then just go and register on PreSonus, the serial number, and then you get the Artist for free. But one thing, I haven't tried it yet, and I just haven't had the time, is when I got the Artist, you also get the Magic Bundle that includes third-party VST plugins and instruments and compressors and a whole heap of other things, including the Arturia Mini Lab. So I'm not sure if they work in Artist or not. Maybe if you have the Artist version, just go try it out and let me know, because I haven't had the chance, because that is something good to know, because then you will have third-party instruments, well, you know, a few extra than what's included in the Artist. So hopefully that answers that question about comparison. Michael Jones says, makes a lot of sense. Great advice. You're welcome. I hope that answers that question. Yeah. Kevin says, thanks. I got my PreSonus channel strip a few months ago. Same one you got, I believe. Yes. I had mine for like 3-4 years. And pretty much every vocal I've recorded goes through that. Sometimes acoustic guitars that I mic also go through that. Vocals, I use them as an insert, so it does not use the tube preamp. It goes into the line level in and out as an insert through my mixer. But for the guitars and things, I do plug in at the back, which is a hassle, but I do plug in at the back the microphone, and then use the mic pre-built in, which has a tube in it as well. And then you can add that tube saturation into acoustic guitars. They sound really nice and warm and gritty, especially for, you know, indie pop music and things, or singer-songwriters. It just gives that fuller sound for the guitar, especially if it's only one guitar that's being played. So yeah, and then you can have a little bit more and a little bit less on each take that you're doing, and you pen them left and right, it really fills up the song with the guitar sound. So yeah, so I'm very happy with it. It hasn't failed me thus far. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoying it. Now let's have a look the mess in my studio, because as I mentioned, I am changing things, and it is you might see that's the gobos that I actually built some time ago, that I used to use it to actually put behind me there when I'm mixing. And then I realized that I had a problem. The corners, my bass traps in this room were not as effective as they were in my old room in my house. Now you see them. There we go. Now you see them hanging there as my first reflection now. So that's what happens. They used to be in the corner, and now I moved them as my first reflections, and then I put my gobos there as a corner bass straps, and that goes for both sides. And then I did again running of measurements of my room with SonarWorks reference 4 with its microphone, and now I get much better response. So the SonarWorks EQing doesn't have to correct as much as it used to be the lower end, because from the size of this room, I have the frequency mode about 75 hertz. I have a dip, a really big dip. I think it was about 18 to 20 dB deep, which is really bad, because that means I'm missing a lot of bass from the position when I'm sitting, right? I move about half a meter back and the bass all comes up again, but not in my sweet position. So SonarWorks reference had to actually adjust it and bring it up so I can hear correctly. And now I put those, and now that's down to about 12 dB or thereabouts, 10 to 12 dB. So it only has to correct 10 to 12 dB rather than 18 to 20 dB. So I said, well, they're staying there. I just thought I'd give it a try, so they're staying there. So that's what actually happened. So in that instant, let me just move. Sorry, guys, it's going to be a little bit bumpy. Camera work. Where are we? Let's just move this out of there, so we can actually see you guys the mess in the back of my studio. There we go. So that's a complete mess in there. A lot of mess. So I'm in the middle of the process of moving things around, and so that's my key controller that I used to use for mixing. And now that I've got the PreSonus Studio Live 16, which is moving faders, audio interface, and a mixer and everything else in between, so that's no longer going to be used. New in my studio is my lounge. Yay! Now my clients can actually sit down and have a chat with me comfortably, because before I didn't have many chairs. I had that red chair people used to sit on, and I offered them to sit there. But other than that, yeah. So now I've got a comfortable chair to sit down on. And also you might actually see behind me there is the cabinet where I've got all my microphones, my MXL microphones, my Rode microphones, my Shure microphones, JTS. So it's all nicely laid out there. So yeah, so that is what's been happening. So I'm still in the stages of correcting my room, making sure all the mess is, there's a lot, but some of them I brought it in for the project. So there's a lot of microphone stands and wires and things everywhere. But now that the project is finished, all the recording sessions are finished, so they're gonna go back into storage in my garage. Otherwise there's no room in here to have them here. So yeah, so that's what's been happening in the studio. Let me see, where were we? Hope everything is doing fine. I'm not sure how many people are watching. It says, where does it say? I can't even tell how many people are watching. How do I find out? I have no idea. Anyway, maybe 6 or 7 people watching. Is that correct? I don't know. It's already been half an hour. So yeah, make sure give me the thumbs up so this video gets become viral. Where were we? Says George Rodriguez says, I did learn with you how to set up the Ultra Patch Pro with Behringer FCA 1616. In fact, I have bought 2 and I am seeing you connect your mixer with your patch bay. Yes, my patch bay is always used, so you can see wires all the time as I'm changing, mixing, or mixing things. I do have lots of outboard gear that I use during my mixing sessions. I've got a lot of outboard gear down there, compressors, EQs, and also I do have a lot of down there that are connected to my mixer through the patch bay, so I can patch things as I need. Some of the times the people go, why do you have so many outboard gear and so many compressors? I do have quite a few compressors here down there, because unlike the digital ones in your DAW, where you can save the settings and next time you open your project, the same settings come back. In analog world, it's not as easy. Everything that you set and you move to the next project and you change it, you got to remember what was the last time. So a lot of the times I take photo with my mobile phone, or I use a different compressor, another compressor for the next session, because I know that the first session will come back next week, and I use the first one that we set up for that project. So for each, if I've got 2 projects happening at the same time during the week, then I have one compressor dedicated to one project. I know that's the sound that we liked. And then I'll have another compressor for the other project, because set up for that recording session. And then once recording is finished and I go that, okay, the first compressor is now can be used for the next one, and so on. So that's why I do have multiple outboard compressors, because I like to tame the incoming signal, especially with compressors, because especially with acoustic drums, you've got huge dynamic that you need to take care of, because you don't want to clip the input of your audio interface when you're recording. You clipped and it's gone. That whole session is gone. You got to do it again. So by having a compressor that just tames it to make sure that the highest signal that it's going to go into your audio interface is at least -6 dB, if not -12, right? Then compressors will take care of that. It will not allow it to clip, because digital clip is a problem. So that's why I control it with compressors. I don't usually EQ. I probably hardly ever EQ coming in. I do have an EQ outboard EQ gear, the parametric EQ, but I hardly ever EQ anything coming in, because it's quite easy to EQ in your DAW afterwards. But as I mentioned, if your signal coming in is too loud, because the drummer really hit it hard, or the guitar just went whang, and that's the sound they want, and if it's too loud, clip and it's gone. So by taming it, you save the session. So that's why I use outboard gear. You don't have to, but yeah, outboard gear. That's what I use it for. So and they all go through the patch bay, and I can patch each one of them each time. I do have a patch bay list, so I mark for each project what equipment I used and which patch they belong into. So when the customer client comes in to finish off the song, quickly I'll patch them through and away we go. And I don't have to touch the any of the outboard gear for that session. Okay. Kevin Wayne says, you may remember me weeping over my old VXP Personas blowing up. Yes, I do. Yeah. Oh, well. It does happen sometimes. Electronics is not 100%. Things just go wrong for no reason. Hopefully they don't happen in the middle of a live session. Michael Johnson said, I still have a McKee 1604 VLZ. I'm not sure what the McKee... Oh, that's a mixer, isn't it? Yeah. I think 16 channel 4-bus mixer. Must be. Yeah. Yeah, but the McKee that I showed you, that's just a fader control. All it is motorized faders and got whole heap of buttons on there that you can control your plugins. Or yeah, it's a fader port. So at the moment, I just put it on eBay, and it's going to be, hopefully, will be sold because I don't need it anymore. Yeah, so. Yeah, let's see what other questions. It's good to know. Your home recording studio says it's good to know that I'm not the only one that has Excel spreadsheets with patch bay routings on it laying around in the room. Yes, oh yeah, it's got to be here. It's got to be here because I've got so many. All of my patch bay is full. So I even though I use it on a daily basis, I know exactly which one is which, but sometimes I go, oh, which one is my headphone outputs? Well, I've got a headphone amp that has up to 8 headphones you can plug in. I go, which one was that? Oh, that one. Oh, okay. Which one was my, my ART amp? I don't have to remember because I don't have to try. It's quick look, that's the one. And, quick workflow. It's definitely really important to work with it that way. Because if you have a client here and they're waiting for you to plug things in and out, it's probably okay first couple times because it's something exciting for them. They can see you working, plugging things in and out, like the old, telephone exchange thing. They can actually see all the equipment, but for me or for you as the recording person, engineer, or the mixing engineer, you're trying to solve things out, you're trying to work things out. For them, it's really great fun and interesting. But for you trying, oh, what the hell? Where is that signal? Why is left channel is louder than the right channel? What happened? Oh, damn it, not plugged in correctly. Those sort of things. You start sweating. But it's all fun. It's all fun. Stone City says, hi, Recording Studio 9. So you compress outside of the DAW? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The compression usually 1.5 to 2 to 1 ratio. So it's not really compressing, and it's maybe no more than 1 or 2 dB. Or maybe 3 dB at peaks to make sure it's staying. But a lot of the time, gain reduction is hardly ever moving. That's for instruments. But for vocals, yes, definitely it'll be compressed 2 to 1, maybe to 3 to 1. And it will be compressing about 5 or 6 dB, depending on the vocalist, of course. If the vocalist doesn't have powerful vocals, it's gentle, maybe 1 or 2 dB at constantly, just so it gives nice, already great sounding audio being recorded. But if the vocalist is belting it out and really powerful vocals, then down to -6 dB of gain reduction is on the way in. It makes things so much easier. Of course, you got to know the right settings. there's always trialing time. So I spend about 5-10 minutes getting the vocalist to sing as practice, and I adjust the attack, the ratio attack and the release to make sure that I capture all of the nuances, and then work on the compression as well, so that the soft parts and the loud parts are a bit closer to each other. And in my DAW, when we listen back without any plugins, the singer listening back will be really excited because they can actually hear their voice really powerful and already halfway there. So all I got to do is maybe add another compressor or two and an EQ, and done, finished. It's all complete. So that's why I have compressors coming in more on the vocals than on the other instruments. The other instruments, I like to leave the dynamics for later. Kevin White says, looking for my serial number as we speak. Look out, artist, here I come. Okay, yes, definitely. So if you have any PreSonus product that you purchase secondhand, even if it wasn't working, for $20, $10 from eBay, or in Australia we have Gumtree or Reverb, whatever.com. Just buy it and then register it, and you get the artist, Studio One artist, for free, including the Magic plugins bundle, Magic bundle plugins, whatever, which is worth what, about 100 US or 150 Australian dollars anyway, which about 100 US dollars. So you get that all for free. Don't say PreSonus, I told it. And we have Michael Johnson says, what is your opinion on the SSL mixers or the software emulation of them? For example, I use Reason 10.2 sometimes, and it emulates one of the versions, I believe the 9000. Yeah, I do have, I only ever seen once the SSL board in one of the studios, but I don't think I even touched it because it was a mixing session and I was just sitting in the control room just watching. This would have been probably, yeah, maybe just over 20 years ago. So I haven't really played with the physical SSL boards. They're way too expensive. But the plugins, I do have few from Waves that I use on my buses sometimes. And they sound really good. They sound really good. I do have Reason 10. Use it a few times, but I haven't really used Reason that often to actually hear any difference from it. I really have to record a project in it and actually use it and compare it with Studio One to see if they sound any different. But if they mention SSL or any other emulated plugin, obviously they're gonna emulate the tonal quality of that hardware, and that's what you're really wanting for, because there are plenty of plugins for EQ and compressor that are straight compressor. They don't change the tonality, the tonality of your audio signal. But once you start using emulated plugins, then they will have, that tonal characteristics added to the outgoing signal. And that's why most of the time you purchase those. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really give you my deep, effective opinion, because even though I have Reason 10 here, I haven't really used it to be able to give you my good opinion on it, or like experienced opinion on it. I'm losing words now. Okay, yeah, 45 minutes into the live session. If you have just joined in, thank you guys. Thanks for joining in. This is a March Q&A session I hope to do. Lucky today, I'm a bit earlier. I hope I'm a bit earlier. This is earliest I could do it. and I hope to actually have more people here. Michael Johnson again says, I'm thinking of changing away from Reason for projects. They don't support VST very well at all, and VST3 doesn't work, period. Yeah, I think their new beta that's coming out for Reason 10, they have improved quite a lot on their VST. Because for a very long time, Reason did not support VST. They had their own proprietary plugins that you could get, and which weren't that many. And then more people actually got into it. Manufacturers got into it, having plugins converted to Reason, plugins as well. And I give it some time because VST just got introduced in version 9 or 10, can't remember. So in the last version, so there's still going to be some quirks to work out. So I give them some time. I'm sure VSTs will sort out in there as well. Because if you've been using Reason for some time and you already know the workflow, you got used to the workflow, there is no real reason to actually, no pun intended, to actually change it to any other DAW, because otherwise you're going to start pretty much, not square one, but maybe square two, to learn more about them. It still doesn't support VST3. Okay. Yeah, 9.5. Yeah, that's 9.5 they got it in. I thought they would have support version VST3 rather than VST2 as well as VST3. Because a lot of DAWs these days is going to probably stop supporting VST2. In the near future. Not yet, but in the near future. Or VST2. Most of them are now just supporting 64-bit VSTs anyway, no longer 32, because having 32 with a bridge is a problem. But yeah. Well, that's a shame. But again, if you're not using too many third-party VST plugins or VST2 plugins, I would stick with Reason, only because you've already used to the workflow. Or you can move into, try another DAW and see how that goes. I would recommend Studio One because that's what I use and I've been using for many years. There's Reaper as well that you can use. Another one that I would be able to recommend along the same lines, Cubase. I've got Cubase as well. Yeah, they're all going to have some learning curve as soon as you move from Reason. Yeah. Kevin Wayne says, that's weird. I registered it and it came up with different product than I got. Oh, well. Are you sure? Maybe you selected the wrong product when you're registering with the serial number. Well, it doesn't matter. As long as you get the artist, then it's fine. Otherwise, you can contest. Say. Anyway, Strong City says, do you use universal control and how and what are some good settings? Universal control, if you're talking about the PreSonus universal control, then it's not any real setting because it's just internal matrix that you use. In my case, universal control is used with my PreSonus 1824. Basically, it's a mixer from the inputs to the outputs, a matrix that you can use. It does not have any built-in DSP, so there's no EQ or compression or the fat channel in there. And a lot of the time, it's bypassed because I controlled all in my Studio One, the DAW, because it allows you to control it within your Studio One, all of its functions. But if you've got Studio 192 or the Quantum, the Thunderbolt one, or if you are using the Studio Live series, which very soon this is going to be replaced with Studio Live Series 3 16 channel, then it will control everything in there. So you can go into your Universal Control, do all the setup, and download it into your Studio Live rather than setting up in the small screen on Studio Live. So I hope that's what you meant by Studio Live Universal Control. Yeah. Michael Johnson says, I own Sonar, FL Studio, Reason, and Mixbus. Yeah, well, Sonar is now Cakewalk. I've got that one. FL Studio, again, Image Line actually donated a license to me for FL Studio. I've done a couple of videos on it, but it doesn't really fit with my workflow, so I don't really use it because I don't arrange songs with loops and things. Maybe one day I'll play around with it as time allows and learn a little bit more. I'm sure you can do everything in FL Studio than you can do in Studio One, but just the workflow is different. Reason I do have it as well. Again, I purchased it for experimental reasons. I just never had the time to actually play around with it. Mixbus 5, that's the Harrison one. I think I have the Mixbus 4, I think I purchased, but with Mixbus, all the controls were so small on the mixer, because it's a mixer and behind it you've got the tracks, timeline tracks. It was so small I couldn't work with it, so I haven't bothered with that one. Stone City says, I have RM32. Yeah, well, that means you are using the fat channels in your Universal Control, which feed into RM32. Yeah, there's not real setting because it all depends from one project to the next. You just have to work it out. You know, play around, spend the time learning about the fat channels, EQ, and the compression and the gate in there with different. If you have one or two different mics, just try them out and see how it sounds with more compression, less compression, and then save the scene. So next time you want to record using that particular microphone for particular type of tone and sound that you want, you can record the scene and your RM32 will set up with that scene with all the input gains and the fat channels, and then where you go. I mean, there's no real default setting. It depends from one person to the next, you know, if that makes sense. Kevin Wayne says, he says, I registered a PreSonus Fire Station 8x8 Firewire audio workstation. I don't know. Maybe you can delete it and change it again. But as I said, if you get the artist, then it wouldn't matter anyway. No clue. You got to contact PreSonus for that one, Kevin. Stone City says, can I use the RM32 for mic preamp with universal control? Yeah, I guess that is because the RM is rec mount unit, and you've got the iPad version that you can use to control it. And if you connect it through USB to your PC or your Mac, then you use the universal control to control it as well. Same as pretty much the same thing as what you use on the iPad or on a tablet to control it, because it doesn't have physical gain knobs or anything else. Everything is in the rack. So for sure, yeah. Your Home Recording Studio says, any suggestions for a monitor controller? I now need to be able to AB or ABY between two sets of monitors. The Mackie Big Knob seems like the obvious choice, but I'm curious what else is out there. Oh, I have seen the Mackie Big Knob. But over here, as you can see, I've got my RSE8 and my Banana Gibbons at the bottom, and a patch bay. That's how I switch it to it if I need to. But if you're going to do a quick A/B between the two, then I guess I don't know what else is out there. You can certainly use multiple outputs of your DAW. So I'm sure the RME that you have will have extra outputs. So maybe you can connect them, and then in Reaper, I know you use Reaper. In Reaper, you can assign different outputs to A/B. What you can normally do is, instead of all your channels and any other buses that you have going to the main bus, just send them to another bus that the output is output 1 and 2, and then create another bus that is output 3 and 4. And that way, all your channels is being fed into those two buses at the same time. And then you can solo between the two. And then you'll be able to send it to that output or that output, which will be your the Adam A7s or your Yamaha ATMs. I think that's what you have. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hope that makes sense, because in your DAW, in Reaper, you can actually have multiple outputs and all the channels feeding into them. So yeah, I guess I hope that works. Let me know if that works, and if you give it a try. Kevin Wayne says, so do they email you about the artist? I don't see anything on it. I don't know. Maybe the Fire Station 8x8 audio workstation does not come with Studio One artist. Yeah, I would really contact PreSonus and see what they say. You might have to take a photo of the actual unit with the serial number behind it and say, this is what I've got, I'm registering it, but it does not, it registers as something else. Just contact PreSonus support and see if they change it. And maybe, yeah, maybe that item is so old that Studio One is not free on that one. Yeah, contact support now. Yeah. Your home recording studio says, great recall, A7X and HS ATM. That's pretty close to how I have it hooked up now, but that's a great idea to set up another master output and solo mute between them. Yeah, that's what I do sometimes as well, for multiple outputs, because a lot of times when I'm, let's say, when I'm mastering and I want to use an external compressor like my ART, and I think you've got the ART Pro VLA as well, I send all my channels into a bus, and the output of the bus is actually connected to my audio interface output, and that's going to the patch bay, from the patch bay into my ART, coming back from ART into patch bay, and from patch bay into the input of my PreSonus 1824. That means I don't have to use pipeline. It's going directly out, and then I record the incoming signal on another track. So I will have all my tracks playing at the same time, a new stereo track being recorded as a separate track as my sort of mastering process, rather than using it a pipeline to do the mastering and being rendered through pipeline. So this way, automatically it's rendered and being printed on another stereo track. Then I can work, once I've got that, then I can use any mastering process on that last stereo track by soloing that stereo track. Then if I need to apply a little bit of compression and limiting maybe a little bit of EQ if I need to on the master, as well as automation. Because one of the things which I have requested with PreSonus Studio One, if you got the Pro version, you do have the project section, which is for mastering. You can add plugins in there on individual tracks as well as master output, but there is no volume automation or any other automation during mastering. A lot of the times, if you have a song that has a very slow beginning and then it builds up and you've got loud part, and you try to make that song to balance out, you don't want to put compression on, because that's going to compress the whole song. What you want to do is put volume automation. So increase the beginning of the song through volume, and as it hits the louder part, like the chorus, the louder part, then you can bring the volume back down, so the compressor is still not hard on, or the limiter is not hard on, because you brought the volume up. Those sort of things are missing in the mastering section of Studio One Pro. So by doing this way, recording the stereo track in the project song, in the song project itself, then I can put automation. I can even put EQ automation. So if there are parts of the song where the bass is, a little bit too loud, and then it eases off later on, rather than using, let's say, automation or correcting it in the mix, you can still bring the EQ part, just that part of the song, lower, as well as volume automation things, while you're still in the song project section, and then just output that into your Studio One project section, and you don't have to worry about anything in there. So you don't worry about mastering it in there, because in there it's all mastered. Then you've got all the different tracks in that project section, whether you're doing digital distribution or whether you're doing a CD production with all the tracks in the right order. So I do it in there. So I don't actually do any mastering in the mastering section of Studio One, because it's missing automation. I hope that's something that PreSonus will consider and add that. Otherwise, it's not really mastering. It's just leveling and balancing the different tracks to match each other in volume and maybe EQ. But you can't really work with loudness. So you can't really do those sort of dynamic adjustments for your songs. Anyway, I hope that was really helpful. I'm getting really, my throat is starting to hurt. I've been talking for about an hour. I'm just about to finish things off here. It's 1 a.m. in Chicago. Thank you so much for staying up till 1 a.m. in Chicago. I hope I was helpful in this live session. And thanks for everyone joining in. And Michael says, most producing and composing stuff now, used to record much more than I do. Now I'm getting into licensing for TV, film, etc. Oh, that's really great, because that's a completely different area of music that a lot of people don't know about. That, it's not just songs that go on charts and Spotify. There's a great big field of music production for TV and films, as well as advertising, those sort of things. So Stone City says, do you have Instagram? I do have Instagram, but I don't, if that's aimed to me, but I don't really use it that much. But yeah. Yeah, if you search for Recording Studio 9 on Instagram or on Twitter, you'll find me there. I do post things every now and then. Well, that's about it. Well, thank you so much for everybody for joining in. I hope this was helpful. I hope I gave a lot of information and I answered all your questions. Until next time, when I do live streaming again, I'm going to have a rest and start cleaning up all this mess here that you see. My drum is over there somewhere behind those things. Yeah, my bookshelves you see behind there, like on top of each other. They're all going to be cleaned up and ready for the next recording session here in the studio. Till next time, as always, thanks for watching, guys. Cheerio. Bye-bye. How do I turn this off?